Hello students, my name is Vaishali, faculty in School of Finance and Commerce, Galgotia's University. I welcome you all to this lecture series. The name of the course is Organizational Behavior. Course code is BBAF 1009 and the name of the topic is Organizational Behavior Concepts. So let's get started with the presentation. Now let's look at the topics that we are going to discuss in this presentation. First is meaning, characteristics and example of organization. Next, we will cover micro and macro perspective of organization. Next, we will look into the meaning of the term behavior. After that, we will look at the meaning of the term organizational behavior combined together. Next, we will discuss study of OB at 3 levels, that is individual, group and at organizational level. Further, we will discuss features of organizational behavior. Next, we will look at the contributing disciplines to organizational behavior like psychology, sociology, political science, etc. Further, we will cover importance of organizational behavior. Next, we will look into the challenges and opportunities for OB. And finally, we will conclude this discussion. So let's get started. So let's start the course by defining the term organization. Many authors have given the definition of organization, as you can see definitions by W.R. Scott and Bernard. Now, if I have to explain organization in layman's language, I would say that a group of people contributing their efforts towards certain goals is an organization. So we saw that all the definitions more or less stressed upon 3 characteristics of organization. First, division of labor. Now, most of the authors agree that there should be a conscious division of responsibilities among the organizational members for the realization of certain goals. Second, presence of one or more power centers. There must be some persons who are able to control and coordinate the activities of all the organizational members. That would maintain efficiency. And then the last one, substitution of personnel. There must be provision for removal of persons who are not giving satisfactory performance. Based on the above characteristics of an organization, some of the examples are companies, armies, hospitals. These can be classified as organizations, whereas tribes, families, friendship groups are not organization in the strict sense, since they do not qualify all the 3 parameters of an organization. Organizations can be studied from 2 perspectives. One is micro and the other is macro. Now, a micro perspective considers human being as the focus of study. It concerns itself with each individual's psychological makeup. So basically, micro perspective is concerned with how an individual person is likely to react in a given situation. It is interested in studying how an individual learns, what motivates an individual, and what kind of leadership strategies will produce a certain desired behavior in an individual. All these things are examined in the micro view. This micro view of individuals in an organization is recognized as the discipline of organizational behavior. On the other hand, the macro perspective considers organization as the unit of analysis. Macro perspective is concerned with organizational goals, how organizations are structured, what technologies are used in the organization, so on and so forth. The macro perspective is recognized as the discipline called organizational theory. We are going to look into the definitions of organizational behavior and organizational theory later in the coming up slides. Now let's look at the term behavior. Behavior means the manner in which a person conducts himself or herself in response to his external environment. The behavior is influenced by a number of factors such as emotions, attitudes, values, personality, perceptions, to name a few. Now let's look at the meaning of the term organizational behavior. It is made up of two words, organization and behavior. We have looked at the meaning of both the terms separately. Now to sum it up, OB is concerned with understanding, predicting and influencing individual behavior in an organizational setting. It focuses on the individuals, groups and the organization and also their interactional relationships. Now let's look at the features of organizational behavior one by one. First is a field of study. Now field of OB is backed by theory, research and application with a growing concern for people at the workplace. Second feature is levels of analysis. Organizational behavior involves three levels of analysis of behavior, that is behavior at individual level, at the group level and at the organizational level. Third feature is concern for effectiveness. Now OB is just not about theoretical concepts, it is also an action-oriented and goal-directed discipline. The major goal is to understand, explain and predict human behavior in organizational context so as to improve organizational effectiveness in the long run. Next feature is satisfaction of employees' needs. Now OB is just not about achieving organizational goals, but it also seeks to fulfill the needs of employees and their aspirations. Next feature is OB is interdisciplinary. Now the field of OB is highly influenced by other behavioral sciences like psychology, sociology, political science, to name a few. The last but not the least, OB is science as well as an art. So OB includes both science and art. The systematic knowledge about human behavior is science and the application of behavioral knowledge being the art part. So in one of our previous discussions, while discussing the features of organizational behavior, we had seen that OB is interdisciplinary in nature. So now we are going to discuss all the fields which have contributed to the field of OB in detail. So we will be discussing the field of psychology, sociology, social psychology, anthropology and political science and look at their contribution to the field of OB. First is psychology. Now psychology is the science of mind. Psychology seeks to measure, explain and sometimes even change the behavior of humans and other animals. The field of psychology is concerned with studying and attempting to understand individual behavior. So here the unit of analysis is individual. all the theories that we study in psychology like motivation, personality, values, attitudes are concerned with changing the behavior of an individual. So we have seen that the field of psychology studies the process of human behavior, which includes learning, thinking, concepts of memory, sensation, emotion, feeling, and personality. Now let's look at some of the psychological concepts which are very much relevant to the field of organizational behavior. So the concepts of perception. Here we will be majorly looking at perceptual errors that a human makes while making decision. Next is theories of personality. Now, some of the famous theories given by psychologists like Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Myers-Briggs personality theory, Big Five personality factors are key contributions to the field of OB. Next is motivation. Now, some of the theories of motivation like theory X and Y, Maslow's need hierarchy theory, Herzberg's theory of motivation, McClelland's theory of motivation are highly used by managers even today to motivate employees. Next is learning. Some of the theories of learning like classical conditioning, operant conditioning, social learning are relevant to the field of OB as well. These are used to induce employees to behave in a certain way. Next is the concept of values and attitudes, and we study how the attitudes of employees can be changed. Next is job satisfaction, and finally we will also be studying theories of leadership and what are the various factors which influence the kind of leadership that has to be practiced on a set of people. Next is the field of sociology. Now, sociology is mainly concerned with the knowledge about a man's social behavior. It studies the way in which people act towards one another. Now, while psychologists were focusing their attention on the individual, sociologists, on the other hand, study social systems in which individuals fill their roles. Some of the concepts in OB that are inspired from the field of sociology are the concept of teamwork, group dynamics, concept of communication, power and policies, organizational theory, and organizational change. Next is the field of social psychology. Now, social psychology is an area that blends psychology with sociology. So basically, this field of study focuses on the influence of people on one another. The unit of analysis here is group. Now, some of the concepts which are influenced from the field of social psychology are behavioral change, concept of attitude change, communication, group processes, and group decision making, to name a few. Now, next is the field of anthropology. Anthropology basically works on culture and environment and helps us to understand the differences in fundamental values, attitudes, and behavior between people in different cultures and within different organizations. Now, some of the concepts in OB which are influenced from the field of anthropology are the concepts of organizational culture, organizational environment, comparative values, cross-cultural analysis, and comparative attitudes, to name a few. Next is the field of political science. Now, political science is the study of behavior of individuals and groups within a political environment. Some of the topics in OB